And now, The Low Post.
Welcome to a Monday edition of the Low Post podcast, where we have one series down and 7 still to go, including a whole bunch tied at 2-2, much to the rest of the Low family's chagrin. And these are so good that I'm going to try and take them one by one in little shorter chunks. So today we're going to do one series. Tomorrow, Kevin Arnovitz, friend of the program, is going to come on and talk about the Raptors, Wizards. Oh, the refs hate us. Every fan base thinks the refs hate us. That series, which has been kind of entertaining, but not that great. But I wanted to start with this one because this, to me, has been the most viscerally entertaining slog of a series of the first round. I just can't take my eyes off it, even though it's completely unattractive to watch on a lot of levels. Cleveland, Indiana, with the Cavs just absolutely fighting just to breathe here. It's 2-2, so they have home court back after I don't know how the hell they won that game in Indy the other night. And no one better to talk Cavs than Brian Windhorst. How you doing?
You know, it's like I'm fine, Zach, thanks. It's like a throwback series from, like, not a great era, like 2008-9-ish, which is the last time LeBron was on a team like this, actually, so maybe it's appropriate. Doesn't
it feel like if NBA games were 5/5 long instead of 4 quarters, like 5 12-minute fifths, that Indiana would have swept the series? It just feels like Cleveland is like limping to the finish of every game and just begging, like, if Korver doesn't make shots, they're done. It just feels like they're just out of gas at the end of every game. Yeah, but if it was a 3/4 series, they'd be up 3-1. So, fair. Very good point. You know, I would just say, like, I've got a couple of friends who, for reasons I do not understand, ask me about who they should bet on. And very rarely I will be like, listen, just do this night. But I very rarely do that. I would advise everyone within the sound of my voice, don't bet on any part of this series. Stay the hell away from it, because I have no idea. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think the coaches are the same way. I have no idea how this is going to go or what's going to happen from game to game. And I would say that about these whole playoffs, Zach. As much as we had certainty, like we could sort of foresee last year, I have no feel for how these series could go. I have no idea whether Toronto will stand up, spread its wings, and get back on track, or will let the past creep into their minds, for example. It's very difficult to me to project what will happen in this Cavs-Pacers series. It has been so, I mean, the Cavs are last in offensive efficiency in the playoffs. Now, it's only 4 games. So everything's a small sample size. Maybe the Thunder will be last after tonight. Who the hell knows? The Thunder are 12th right now, 13th right now. Last. They're starting Kevin Love at center. And now that lineup has been tremendous. We'll talk about that in a second. The one that doesn't involve Jose Calderon. And they've been missed. George Hill being out was just absolutely monstrous last night. They went some of crunch time without any point guard at all. Clarkson is unreliable, a disaster on defense. Jose Calderon just won't shoot, can't guard anybody. But George Hill's is sneakily, despite the fact that he's not doing much, he's an important part of their team. But they're last on offense. And even though there were 4 games on Saturday, I had to go back and watch the second half of that game 3 because I sat there watching it on my couch, just slack-jawed the whole half. By the way, Indiana for the series, plus 35 in the second half. It's just every game is the same. And what happened, now it happened to a lesser extent last night in Game 4. In Game 3 was a complete offensive meltdown, the likes of which I have not seen from a LeBron James team since maybe the 2011. What stood out to you? It was remarkable. What stood out to you? Well, in the first 3 games, LeBron had 30 ISO plays just in the second halves of those 3 games. I don't have the updated stats. I think last night might have been a little bit better. He's averaging. By the way, he's averaging 20 per 100 possessions, up from 13.5 in the regular season. In the second half, or total? In the whole game, and in the second half, to your point. So this is the second slowest paced series of the first round. Milwaukee-Boston, like I said, 2008 basketball. Yeah, it's the second slowest behind Milwaukee-Boston by like half a possession, and in the second half, it's like 3 possessions slower than it is in the first half, and it's just, I mean, it is. Anyway, so go back to that. What did you notice? What stood out?
Well, first off, Kevin Love's thumb has got to be affecting him. I mean, I know it's sometimes I think fans and media are guilty. Oh, the guy's still playing? Okay, then he's fine. Like Kevin is having trouble holding onto the ball, and like he's getting rebounds and stuff ripped away from him. He's like looks like he's got butterfingers. I just think his thumb, which my God, when he had the play happen, I thought, oh my God, he broke his thumb, or he tore
looked that way.
That ligament. Yeah, in his thumb. I remember Shaq telling me Shaq tore his ligament, same ligament in the thumb twice, and the second time he tore it, I was covering him, and he just told me, he goes, I knew it immediately. You can't hold on to the ball. You just can't hold it. So Love has something called skier's thumb, which I guess people who ski, I'm not one of them. Do you ski? Have you ever had skier's thumb?
Never skied in my life. Went to college in New Hampshire, never skied. You know why? You ever seen the Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry goes skiing?
Of course. He gets stuck on the lift.
But just the the scene of him carrying all the that you need to go skiing in the parking lot and like dropping it. That's why I don't ski. It's just I got to drive a long way with all this stuff, and then it's cold, and if I fall, it's going to be cold. The aftermath sounds wonderful. Have a nice dinner with your friends, have a nice hot cup of cocoa, have a nice glass of wine in the evening. It's not for me. Anyway, I don't know what the hell skier's thumb is, but it's whatever.
Well, I think it's like, when you stick your pole in the snow and it jams and it pulls your thumb back, and so you basically, get your tendons in there stretched or ripped or whatever. And so I don't think his grip is right. And I know it's on his non-shooting hand, but I'm watching him play. He's like fumbling the ball around. I think he had 3 points in the second half of Game 3, and he had 2 baskets last night, and they were both like putbacks. He didn't make an outside shot. So first off, what I think is his second scoring option is sort of a little bit broken right now. And I think that's part of it. And I also just think that they're just tense. LeBron's tense, and also LeBron's tired. In the fourth quarter last night, if you go back and watch first six or 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, I mean, I wasn't charting it, so don't go crazy on me if I'm slightly wrong. First 6 or 7 minutes, he barely came inside the 3-point line offensively. He hit like a weird banked quasi-lucky shot from the right wing just a few feet inside the 3-point line. But basically, he spent the first half of the fourth quarter like sort of taking it easy on offense. And I just assumed he was so tired because his minutes are so high. So all kinds of indicators on why the Cavs are in trouble, and probably in trouble even if they survive this series.
That was the number one thing that stood out to me watching the second half of Game 3. Because when I rewatched, I was like, I'm just going to watch LeBron, and he's not doing anything when he doesn't have the ball. Just nothing. He gives the ball up. Once he's out of the play, he's out. And he just stands there. And last night in Game 4, in the fourth quarter, there was a possession where he dribbled over half court, pitched it to Clarkson on the right wing. Clarkson did some pick and roll stuff that went nowhere. He's like, I got to ISO Corey Joseph. That's all I got left. LeBron was at half court, standing there. Clarkson did 4 dribbles, got nowhere, was kind of 12 feet from the rim. You can see him look at LeBron, be like, where are you? And then realize he's not there. Like, shit, I gotta shoot. And it was that to me was, he has to be tired. He's either tired or disengaged, and I'm going to choose to err on the side of tired because he's playing 46 minutes and putting up 30, 10, and whatever he is a game, and ISOing a million times and posting up a million times and playing it like the finals when he had to have Dellavedova as the second best player on the team for a little while. I assume it's just fatigue, but it's if you just go back and watch LeBron, I mean, it's jarring. It's like this is not the portrait of a healthy ecosystem.
Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't getting texts from people in the league who were wondering what this meant.
Of course.
And I don't. The answer is I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. The burden is so high on him, and to look at him and say, "Oh my God, he's disengaged," and he had 33, 13, and 7. It's hard. The standard is so high, but at the same time, the film sort of says he's either tired or disengaged. So,
no, there's no other thing. He's either tired or disengaged when he doesn't have the ball in the second half. There's no.
And then
Or he has to take a crap and he's standing still. I don't know. There's no other thing that it could possibly be.
And then, when Corver hits the 2 threes, all of a sudden he gets a pep in his step. Now, does he do that because he's re-engaged, or does he do that because he's using his last bit of energy to try to finish off the game? I don't know. He did play 82 games. It's the most he's played ever at age 33.
Maybe stupid. Maybe not a good thing to do.
Well, Zach, I gave up the ghost on this one because he scolded me a few times. Basically just told me, you don't know what you're talking about. I know my body. You don't.
Sure.
And, his point, I was always railing away on minutes, because his minutes were always so high. And he said, look, whether I play 36 minutes or 41 minutes doesn't make a difference. The only difference to me is, the process of getting ready for a game. I don't feel any different versus the minutes. He goes, sometimes it's nice to take a few days off so that, I can sort of recharge. And he did that. He did that literally for a decade, where he took some games off at the end of the season. He didn't do that this year. So I don't know. It's hard to know. What I will say is this. I think both sides can present a positive spin on this case. Victor Oladipo played like crap in 3 and 4.
I'm going to say he shot like crap. I don't think he played like crap.
You're right. I take it back. You
don't have to take it back.
Yeah, no, you're right. I shouldn't have said it that way. The Cavs are throwing some traps at him, and they're junking up their defense a little bit. He was 5 of 20. He had some good looks that he missed too, that were not related to the defense. The Cavs, and I mean, this is a stunning statement. Again, the throwbacks to 2008 are all over the place. First off, the Cavs are a 4 seed for the first time in 10 years. Secondly, the pace of the game. Third, the Cavs are actually defending. They were 29th in defense efficiency during the regular season, and I just, again, threw up my hands and said, well, when the Cavs lose in this playoffs, it's going to be because they can't stop anybody. And Ty Lue repeatedly put lineups out there that were offense first. I mean, he thinks, for a guy who kind of was raised as a defender and was an effective defensive coordinator, it's amazing how he thinks offense first, second, and third when he deploys his lineups. But anyway, they're third in defensive efficiency so far in the playoffs. They've played their best 4 consecutive games of defense this entire season in this series. So if you're a Cavs fan, you can say, if Rodney Hood hits a couple of extra shots, if Kevin Love doesn't go 2 of 10, hell, if Kevin Love goes, 5 of 12, we play defense like this, we're going to be fine. And I can't disregard that. I actually think that the defense that the Cavs are playing is the kind of defense that is the flip the switch-esque defense. And again, if you're the Pacers, you're saying Oladipo was off in 3 and 4, and we won 3, and we almost won 4, and we're right there. Could have had it if a couple of things went our way. I think both teams can hit Wednesday night thinking, not only are we going to be good for this series, we're good going forward.
Wednesday night. Why are there 4 games on Wednesday? Why does the NBA have to do that? I'm just, okay. Anyway, I can't.
What's the schedule on Thursday? Are they dodging the NFL draft?
No, they say no. I think there's 3 on Thursday. There's just a lot of games. I realize that 4 on a weekday. It's just one of them. I'm going to have to maybe skim through. It's just too much. Anyway, part of being an adult male is getting suits that don't look terrible. And that means you just can't get an off-the-rack suit anymore. You got to have a made-to-measure suit. My body's all weird. I have shoulders that are broader than they should be, a weird waist. Like, they had to have 3 people come out and measure me. You need to have a made-to-measure suit. Indochino. It's the world's largest made-to-measure menswear company. It's been featured in a lot of magazines, GQ, Forbes, Fast Company. They make suits and shirts, by the way, to your exact measurements. You have a high variety of stuff that you can choose from. You can personalize your suits, your measurements. You can have monograms of something on the lapel, the lining, the buttons, all sorts of fabrics and patterns. And it looks great. You end up looking really awesome with a made-to-measure suit. And this week, my listeners can get any premium Indochino suit for just $379. Again, $379 is nothing for an off-the-rack suit of any decent quality. This is made to measure. When you go to Indochino.com and enter LOWE, L-O-W-E, my last name, the name of this podcast, when you check out, that's 50% off the regular price for a made-to-measure premium suit, and shipping is free. That's Indochino.com, promo code LOWE, L-O-W-E, for any premium suit for just $379.
Love scoring amazing hotel deals? Then you've got to get the Hotel Tonight app. Forget scrolling through never-ending lists of hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you a select list of incredible deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can book up to 100 days in advance in top destinations and up to a week in advance everywhere else. Want to get those deals? Yeah, you do. Download the Hotel Tonight app now.
So it's one thing to miss some shots. You miss some shots. The Cavs are shooting whatever they're shooting from three. I'll look it up in a second. I have their efficiency numbers, not their actual raw numbers. They are shooting from three 32%. That's bad. Okay, toss it. It's up to 38%. Life's a little better. It just looks bad. Like, people forget because of how great LeBron is and what a great ISO player Kyrie is. When those Cavs were rolling, they could put together some of the best passing sequences you would see in the league. And it wasn't all the time because it's not in their DNA to play like that all the time. They're not the Warriors, but they could look like the Warriors. For 2 or 3 minutes, they could look like the Warriors. This looks like the Dellavedova LeBron Cavs from 2016 or 2015. And they're walking the ball up. Every possession takes forever. They're getting no offensive rebounds. They're getting a lot of turnovers. It's just, and like Bron, here's the most stunning stat of the whole series. LeBron James on post-ups, okay? 0.77 points per possession anytime he posts up. And even worse than that, or about the same rather, when he shoots it or the guy he passes to shoots it right off 1 or 0 dribbles. That's like unheard of. When you post LeBron with 4 shooters, there is not supposed to be a way to defend that. And the Pacers, through grit and hard work and Bogdanovich battling his ass off and just like speedy, fast, tenacious dudes are defending it. And I just don't even know how to process it. Like, I've never seen a team other than maybe the Warriors when they would switch everything and have Iguodala on him and they can deny and rotate and all that. I've just never seen a team, certainly not in the East, do this to LeBron going one-on-one with 4 shooters around him.
Well, we haven't seen LeBron on a team with this level of talent in a long time. I know that they're the most expensive roster in the league, but there's not a lot of multi-dimensional players. You have a bunch of specialists out there. And, in a playoff situation, you can kind of neutralize some of the role-playing specialists. I mean, that's as old as the league. There was a play in Game 2. It was a key moment. It was the moment when George Hill got called for an offensive foul, and he fouled out of the game on the play.
A stupid play. Stupid.
Yeah, so if you watch it, and this is really, I know this sounds pretty basic, but it's just the truth. George Hill comes down the right wing. LeBron is standing on the elbow. He's going against Boyan. And George Hill is looking at him, and he wants him to do something. He wants him to either post or come and set the screen so he can force a switch. And LeBron just doesn't move. He either can't get past Boyan, like he can't move around him, or he just doesn't have the energy to post up. He just sort of just dies on the vine on that play. And George Hill's looking at him, and the clock gets down to 5, and George Hill waves the white flag and tries to go baseline and create. And he runs over, I can't remember, was it Collison? I think he ran over Collison.
I don't know.
And it was a charge.
I remember
the play. The ball over.
Yeah, there was like 30 seconds left.
So, obviously a year ago, in that same situation, that would have been Kyrie and LeBron. And if LeBron was too tired or just didn't have it on that possession, and you left Kyrie in an isolation situation in a clear out with any defender in the league, I don't care who it was, you liked your chances. And they just don't have it. They just don't have it. So, if you want to take the, maybe this isn't the 30,000 feet view, maybe this is the 50,000 seat view. When, in 2016, the Cavs are champs. King of the world. Durant signs with the Warriors, which is a blow. The Cavs they're zoomed past in that moment, which I think played itself out because last year Durant was clearly, in my mind, the difference maker. I would argue that if they didn't have Durant, if they took back their 2016 team, that series comes right down to the end again.
Absolutely. That Cavs team was a great basketball team, a great championship level team with an all-time offense. And the best player in the world at his absolute peak, and they just weren't good enough. Right.
So they go 12-1 in these playoffs, And I know that the East was not historically great, but you go 12-1. I mean, they were beating teams by 40 points.
No, it was a joke. The East playoffs were a joke. I mean, anyway.
So Durant signs. That's blow one, right? Blow two. Kyrie asks for a trade. So and now instead of playing on a team that is, would be a championship level team in most years that weren't playing the Warriors, now they're the 4 seed. And so he's just absorbed those two gigantic realities, not to mention everybody on the Cavs kind of got older and the disease of more kicked in. JR is not the same player. Tristan's not the same player. Love slowed down. Some of their other guys have been traded off. The new guys haven't quite, they're just a little bit worn down. And so those, you look at all those things together. Of course we have a LeBron team that's wheezing. And of course he's got to look around and figure out, what am I going to do next? I mean, look at his team. I mean, one of the most misleading things that was said at the end of the season, and look, if I worked for the Cavs, if I worked in PR, I would say the same thing. They were like, we lost Kyrie Irving. We had to trade half our roster. We had all these injuries. Love broke his hand. Hey, look, we only won one fewer game than we did last year. Last year we won 51. This year we won 50. How about that? We're great. And I was like, wait a minute. Last year LeBron didn't play 8 games and you guys went 0-8. And still won 51. This year LeBron played in all 82 and you won 50. So no, it's not the same team at all. Last year they were 51 and 23 or whatever when he played. This year they were, they had 9 more losses with him playing every game. So no, that's not the same team. And that's even building in the fact that they had their general malaise where they didn't care. And so, to be honest with you, Zach, what we're seeing here, although the LeBron stuff is built in and everything like that, it's a 4-5 series. This is what most 4-5 series are. 2 imperfect teams that lean up against each other for 6 or 7 games, and a lot of times it's sound and fury signifying nothing at the end. That's where we are with this 4-5 matchup when you get right down to it. And it was because of a whole bunch of events that happened, not just what's happened in the last 3 months.
Well, you mentioned Hill. There was another play in that game where he and LeBron ran a pick and roll, and George Hill came up to set a second screen for LeBron, and LeBron thought he was going to fade out for a 3, I think, and passed him the ball, and ended, because they were going in opposite directions, essentially passed it out of bounds. And I thought to myself, well, there you go. You want to know what chemistry is and the value of cohesiveness? There it is, right there in one play. That doesn't happen if Kyrie Irving's there. They know where they're going and what the play is going to be. All of the, but what's fascinating to me is, a lot of their bread and butter stuff just isn't working. LeBron loves to run those plays where he calls the 2 littlest defenders up, the guys with the 2 littlest defenders on them to come set a double screen for him. He's not getting anywhere on that. Partly because the screens aren't hitting, partly because Jose Calderon won't shoot most of the time, even if he's open. And LeBron, he can't, Corey Joseph will hedge out and bump him a little bit, and he gets bumped off his path. He's not turning the corner. He couldn't beat Sabonis on a switch last night at the end of the game. Multiple times he struggled to beat Sabonis. Now, sandwiched in between that are some emphatic LeBron post-ups and some emphatic LeBron drives and all of that. So it's in there. But, to your point, Hill was out, and they need him. Hood has been terrible. He's shooting all right, but he's not been good defensively. That dribble handoff play they run for him where he takes a 20-footer every time, I just can't. It's making my eyes bleed. Love hasn't played well. Tristan Thompson, I think, earned another shot. I think Tristan, even when he came in for foul, he sets good picks, and I think he's earned a shot. I would like to see Jetty Osman. I think he's earned a shot because here's what I want from the Cavs. You should play these 3 kinds of lineups. Number 1, LeBron with 4 shooters. That works. We know that works. The version with George Hill is, looking it up right now, plus 19 in 33 minutes. The one with Calderon is ugly. Number 2, LeBron with a pick and roll dive guy and 3 shooters. So that's LeBron and Tristan, LeBron and Nance and 3 shooters. There's no place for Jeff Green in either of those lineups, by the way. And number 3 is whatever the hell it takes to survive for a minute when LeBron rests. I don't care if it's Kendrick Perkins just tackling people or whatever.
Perk was active last night.
Just whatever. I don't care if you play all your big guys at the same time and just start hitting people. Whatever gets you through a minute and 30, that's what I want to see. So I kind of feel like Tristan Thompson maybe earned a little look, because when you surround those LeBron and him with 3 shooters, you're going to get a good shot, and he sets better screens than Nance. Nance is a better player, but the common denominator is that just when Jeff Green's on the floor, they're bad, and nobody guards him. The big Miles Turner can sit there and hide and sit in the lane, and Jeff Green sometimes doesn't shoot, and the possessions die. They're just not getting enough out of these guys.
Yeah, Tristan, Andy Varejao I'm going back to 2007-8. Like, that was the way they played back then. Of course, the game was different. Back then, he played with 2 shooters. Then it was like, oh man, get Boobie Gibson out there with him, and Mo Williams. And that was your 2 shooters, or Delonte and Mo Williams. And, Varejao would set screens, and LeBron played high pick and roll. And eventually what started happening was LeBron would kind of run into the screens the way Oladipo runs into plays now, and Varejao would set them like above the 3-point line. And so you had LeBron tearing off downhill. Varejao was just brilliant at setting, the South American art of he was taught very well in the art of the South American high screen in the spirit of Luis Scola and Fabrizio Roberto et al. That's what Tristan does. Tristan has set, probably 4,000 high screens for LeBron. The thing about it is that, it comes into a spacing thing, and Ty is so focused on spacing. But, I think Tristan's plus minus, I don't have it in front of me, was +7 last night.
Yeah, it was something. Plus something.
And he only played he played 7 minutes. Maybe played 7 minutes was +4 or something like that. But, I think part of it is, Ty is getting good defense without using him, and he's getting away with switching without using him. So, but they need something that's going to unlock some offense, and part of it may be, Zach, they just need to have a good shooting night. I mean, if you go back and look since the trade, they either had hot shooting nights or bad shooting nights. It was like sort of not in between, and so it's they're playing at home. I mean, it's very possible that Rodney Hood could hit 3 threes. That Jordan Clarkson, who has only played 1 good half so far. And whatever you want to say about Jordan Clarkson, I mean, you can rip him up down one side, up and down the other. The man can score. The man knows how to put the ball in the basket, and he can create a little bit, which is something that is short. The Cavs don't have those type of players. I am surprised Jordan Clarkson hasn't been, more effective. So they could have a good game. But again, we're talking about this long term. We're spending a lot of time analyzing a first round series. I've spent more time discussing this first-round series than any series of LeBron's career. First-round series of LeBron's career.
Jordan Clarkson can throw the ball toward the basket. Sometimes he can make it. I mean, he's actually shot better this year. He's at 50% from twos for the last 3 years. The 3-point shot comes and goes.
He shot well on 3-pointers after the trade. I would think he was over 40%.
Yeah, 40.7%.
Okay.
Oh, you said something that jogged my interest, and I don't remember what it was. Oladipo and the defense that they're playing. So that's the most interesting subplot to me for the rest of the series. I'm always skeptical that these trapping schemes can work for a prolonged period of time. They're so aggressive, and you have to close every window so frantically that I just don't know if a team sees it enough that it can really work. And the margins for error, the margins between a stop and like a disastrously bad outcome are so thin. There was one where they trapped Oladipo. This was in Game 4. Lance Stevenson flashed up towards him at the on one wing, which they're doing much more. They've given him release valves that are in his line of sight and easy to get to. Lance Stevenson touched a pass to Miles Turner, who was wide open. Someone rotated off Thad Young. The pass was just a little bit behind Miles Turner, and he just fumbled it for like half a second. Gathered it, and that half second was all it took for Cleveland's defense to be able to be there when Thad Young caught the dump off pass and he couldn't dunk it. And it was like that if that pass is on target, it's a dunk. If it's a little off target, it's a turnover. That's the difference. And I felt like in the third quarter last night, Bogdanović hit back-to-back threes. Sabonis' playmaking as a screen setter was huge. I thought that they figured some things out about, okay, here's how we're going to attack this. They had Sabonis like creep up to set a screen and then immediately creep right back so he was like wide open when he caught the ball, and it was earlier, and the defense was like in mid rotation and not set, and they got good threes out of it. And I thought the other thing is they dribbled against them. Like when those traps happen and you swing it to the guy on the wing, if you just go straight line, there's all of a sudden a gap in the defense, and I thought Lance actually was particularly good at that. And all of a sudden you've got lots of stuff going on and lots of options. I don't know, and as you know, and as Jason Lloyd wrote in The Athletic, at the end of the game they stopped doing it. And they started dropping Kevin Love back, and I think Oladipo was 1 of 2 on mid-range jumpers, which is an okay outcome. A mid-range jumper still, even now, is with Oladipo shooting so well this year, is an okay outcome. And then they did the thing where they tried to switch everything, except they tried to hide Kevin Love and like run him into the corner like the Celtics used to do with Isaiah Thomas and the Nets used to do with Brook Lopez and bring LeBron up. I don't know what they're going to do, but it felt like the Pacers finally in the second half of Game 4 found some stuff they could lean on to beat the traps, and that's the most fascinating sort of tactical battle of the series, don't you think?
I agree. I mean, Oladipo has it was awesome in Game 1 and Game 2. The traps began. He sort of have stutter stepped here, and the next move is his, really. By the way, Lance, peak Lance right now.
Oh my God.
When he takes the ball away and holds it up, he should have like a painting made and hung on his wall of him taking the ball away from LeBron and holding it up like the Statue of Liberty. It was incredible. And had they won that game, that photo would have would have probably got them a great chance to win the series. That photo would have been the moment of the series. Lance taking
not
the
as
ball.
good as the Boban holding the ball up over Anthony Davis's head photo from a couple of weeks ago, or the Brett Brown playing ping pong photo, which is the greatest sports photo of the year. Anyway,
it's the greatest action shot of the NBA.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
The top spin alone is unbelievable. Lance also, as is natural in a game like this, or in a style of game like this, there's been a whole bunch of attention on the officiating. The Pacers fans who are tired of seeing LeBron James in the postseason, they're tired of losing to him. I mean, if the Cavs win 2 of the next 3, it'll be 5 times in, I think, 7 years he'll have taken them out. So I totally get it. And they're so frustrated. It reminds me of the Wizards fans when he took them out 3 straight times in the mid-2000s. The Wizards fans just got to the point where they were just so upset because they were so convinced he traveled every time he touched the ball. And they just, it was almost like you couldn't have a conversation with a Wizards fan about LeBron because they were just convinced that he was a cheater. And that's kind of where some of the Pacers fans are getting. And last night, definitely the officials gave LeBron a gift when he's laying on the court and he calls timeout.
Yeah, that did look like he had control of the ball. So the result is Lance Stevenson body slams Jeff Green, takes Jeff Green to the ground. And not only are the Pacers fans upset that it wasn't a jump ball, which, after they're on the ground, I agree, they're tied up. But Jeff Green didn't fall to the ground by himself. But they are convinced that there should have been a flagrant foul on Jeff Green and the Pacers should have got the ball and free throws. And it's very difficult for them to come to any other conclusion. And so I'm telling you, the stage is set for crazy stuff with the officiating and with Lance and LeBron and potentially these next 2 or 3 games because Lance has gotten to LeBron a little bit here. And I remember one time I was in the Pacers locker. Remember that season where they had a meltdown? They were awesome in the first half. The Roy Hibbert, there's some selfish dudes in this locker room. Oh yeah, that was the end of when they struggled. Well, they actually ended up making the conference finals that year, but it was a struggle. They actually got the number 1 seed after all that too. But I spent a lot of time around the Pacers that year, and I remember being in their locker room one time to a road game after they had a rough loss, and they called the players only. It was a starters only meeting. They called. And I saw it happen. I saw the guys all gather, and I saw Lance over there playing games on his phone. I mean, he wasn't even out of his uniform yet. He was just sitting at his locker before he took a shower. He was just going to play video games. And they stopped. It was George Hill and David West and Hibbert and Paul George. And they were like, should we have Lance come into this meeting? Nah, it's not worth it. They just went into another room and had their own meeting without him. And so, I don't even think that they need Lance in the huddles. There's nothing that you're going to tell Lance that he's going to change what he's going to do. So Lance's entire job out there is, basically to take open shots, move the ball, and to get under LeBron's skin. So, of course, he's going to walk back to the huddle with LeBron and try to get under his skin. And it worked.
And if LeBron thinks shoving Lance is going to deter him, no, it's going to make him go 4 times harder to get under his skin.
Well, that's exciting. Lance Stevens bringing it 4 times harder. Is he going to lock in the sleeper hold in Game 5? I mean, what's next? Flying elbow?
It's going to be awesome. Like the stage is set here for histrionics. And this series is so tight, and the officiating is such a push-pull-grind series that the officiating is going to come under scrutiny, and Lance LeBron is going to be a total microscope.
Yeah, it's funny. We're joking about this and the sleeper hold, and Lance and LeBron is a sideshow. I mean, as you said before, zooming out, this isn't a joke, man. Like, if this is as good as the Cavs are, and they have the Nets pick, so they have some vehicles to get better in the summer, right? I mean, they could trade that and something. I mean, nothing they have is all that appealing, honestly. For somebody, I don't know. Maybe. If this is as good as they are, and this is an absolute war, this series. The Pacers are super into this, and this is a war. Like, I don't know, man. You said you've been getting texts. I've been getting texts. It's just hard. It's hard to see this team playing like this already. And imagine him coming back. It's just hard to see.
There's just a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the league.
This summer is going to be absolutely bananas. It's going to be.
All I'm going to say is, you don't want LeBron to have 2 months to plot with other players, because Chris Paul and James Harden have now written the script. You just, while the finals are going on, if you're not in them, let's just get together in LA and plot how you're going to get together. And we've gotten to the point in the league where the players have so much power, they can force trades. Like, that's why I keep saying about potential Kawhi trades, and I still can't believe that the Spurs are not going to offer the $70 extra million, and I still can't believe Kawhi is not going to sign it. I still can't get past that. I still, for as much as I hear about the Spurs being trepidatious, and as much as I hear about the lack of chemistry there, I get all that. Let's just say all of it's true. It's $70 million. There's no endorsement deal. There's no nothing that's worth $70 million. But anyway, moving past that, like, people don't understand. People are like pitching Kawhi trades. Like, oh no, if the Celtics offer this, then this. Well, that's not enough. That's not how it's going to go, dudes. Kawhi is going to tell the Spurs where he wants to be traded, because he's got 1 year left on his contract. And the Spurs are going to have a Sophie's choice between trading for less to a team where he's not committed, and it's a Paul George situation. Now, granted, that trade worked out beautifully, but not even the Pacers thought Victor Oladipo was going to be this good. Hats off to Kevin Pritchard for having the guts to do that, but he is better than anybody thought right now. So you're either going to do a trade like that where you're gambling on non-proven players, because that's what that was. Sabonis and Oladipo were not proven players.
Or even worse, people thought Oladipo was proven by that point.
No, fair point. That's a fair point.
That he was proven to be what he was. That was the worry, right?
But you're trading for Oladipo hoping that he improves.
Sure, absolutely. He's still young enough, absolutely.
Or you're going to make a trade to where Kawhi wants you to be traded to. And the same thing with LeBron. LeBron has an option in his contract. It doesn't just, like, I hear people talking about, will it be the Lakers? Will it be they go through the 4 teams with cap space. Will it be the Sixers? And I go, guys, if LeBron deems it, he will go to the Cavs and say, you will trade me to Team X. And as long as that team isn't trying to force, like, Luol Deng down the Cavs' throat, the Cavs will do the deal, because they will not want to lose him for nothing. Just like, the Clippers did not want to trade Chris Paul, but at the end of the day, the alternative was unacceptable. So, like, if LeBron is left to his own devices and not focused on playing basketball for 2 months, and he can take meetings with everybody in the league, forget about July 1st. Forget about the teams that are going to pitch him. The meetings are going to go down in May and June if LeBron's out of the playoffs. Now, if LeBron's not out of the playoffs and the Cavs get all the way to the finals, that changes the game quite a bit. But we're gonna get down to July 29th or June 29th. That's when LeBron's option date is. In fact, whenever the draft is, the Cavs are gonna have to be like, LeBron, what are we gonna do here? I mean, I don't even know if this is gonna get to July. This could all get mitigated out in June. And then, we don't know what the Blazers are gonna do. What happens to the Wizards if they get knocked out in this round? What happens with the Spurs? What happens with the Spurs?
What happens with Portland?
That's what I'm saying, the Blazers. If the Warriors don't win, do they look at their roster? Because if you're ever going to trade Draymond, he's got 2 years left. Now would be the time to look at it. We could see not only that, Zach. I think we're going to. I don't even think we're at the start of the ridiculous coaching carousel that we're going to have.
We are just at the very start, but there is going to be more coming, and it wouldn't surprise me by the time this podcast is up if there was another one. I mean, that's that anyway.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. We're going to see we're going to see a wild summer. We're going to see a wild summer. And LeBron has the ability to construct and put together what he wants. And look, this is going to be his last act. And the Cavs are going to have to decide whether they want to be a part of that construction or not. And it's going to hinge on that draft pick. It's going to hinge on whether the Cavs are willing to do something with that pick. Or they're just going to go ahead and make their selection and take a player that they hope to build around. And it's all going to come to a head. It's going to be happening parallel to these playoffs, which I think are going to be really good. And that's what we're headed for. And the fans are going to love it. And it's going to tear some teams, fans guts out because there's some star players going to move around. And when the smoke clears around July 15th or so, we're going to have potentially a new super team or two, and we're going to have a super team or less, or a super team now that's been gutted. And that's the way it's going to be. And anybody who says, "Oh, I know what's going to happen, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, my sources tell me," good luck, sir. I'd say the same thing about betting on the Cavs Pacers series. Nobody knows how this is going to go.
No, I think, and your point about the Wizards is interesting because I was really impressed with. We're going to get back to Cavs Pacers, I promise. But I was really impressed with both the Wizards and the Bucks over the weekend. I picked Toronto in 5, and I picked Milwaukee in 7. I think so. I'm not surprised. I'm not on paper. I'm not surprised that those are competitive series. I mean, I'm not the Wizards. Nothing surprises me about the Wizards. Not Markieff Morris and Marcin Gortat getting in a fist fight wouldn't surprise me. Nothing would surprise me about them. But both of them had. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Go.
With all due, I love the Raptors. That's a preface. What happens if the Raptors are down 7 points at the start of the fourth quarter on Wednesday? What happens?
The sphincters will be getting tight, as somebody once told me.
I have a piece of advice for the entire Raptors fan base. After spending
there's
many
nothing
games.
I like better than talking to the Raptors fan base.
Stop with the inferiority complex. The inferiority complex is hurting you. One of the reasons why the Raptors play tight is because they feel like they have to prove that they belong. And one of the reasons that they feel like they prove they have to belong is because they feel like nobody respects them. And they feel like nobody respects them because they play in Canada. Stop it.
Canada's a great place.
It's only hurting. It's not helping.
Only in the playoffs could a team shoot because DeMar DeRozan shot 9,000 free throws the other night, and somehow Raptors fans. This is why I've disengaged from Twitter because apparently I saw from other people's tweets who I actually follow that Raptors fans were complaining about the officiating. Okay, so how many more free throws do you want? 40 more? What's gonna make it fair? Do you want to get 3 free throws every time DeMar gets fouled? What do you want that is going to convince you that cigarette smoking man is not plotting against your team? Anyway, I don't know what the hell I was going to say about. Here's what depresses me about the Cavs. They can't like the Cavs in the past have come out in the playoffs like the new season is here. You were waiting for us to flip the switch. Here we go. We're up by 30 in the first half. Channing Frye just made 9,000 threes and Al Horford is weeping. Like here, the playoffs are happening. They came out in game 1. LeBron was totally LeBron. I think he had a triple double in game 1. I don't know what it was, but he was guarding Darren Collison. Might as well not have been on the court. Like just totally disengaged. And just like the stuff like Kevin Love last night had the play where Thad Young blocked him and just ripped the ball away from him. Thumb maybe contributed, right? Then 10 seconds went by and Kevin Love was not on the television screen still because he whined to the refs and walked back on defense, and the Pacers were in their set offense, throwing the ball around as if there were 5 defenders. Oh, no, there's only 4. Someone just shoot. Someone's open. It's that's the kind of stuff you didn't see that. The discouraging, the sulking, the whining, that wouldn't come out. like they didn't come out with that kind of attitude. They didn't respond to any adversity, the little that they faced. They didn't respond to it that way this early in the playoffs. In the past, it's been they just don't look energetic.
They have organizational fatigue. I mean, I've seen it before. It was in Miami the fourth year. Now that team was different, but I've described this on many different interviews. The organizational fatigue that the Miami Heat had after 4 years of the Heatles was so thick it was as thick as the humidity in the air conditionless AT&T Center. And I sense the exact same thing in Cleveland. There's organizational fatigue. And the front office is exhausted. Ownership is exhausted. And the irony about all of it is LeBron at times never looks fresher. Now he doesn't look fresh right now, but as he's dragging the team through the second half of the season, he's the only guy with a spring in his step. The whole organization is wheezing. They have organizational fatigue, and it manifests itself in that kind of stuff. And it's just wild. The whole thing is the blessings that LeBron brings and the challenges that LeBron brings. Nobody is ready for it. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why it's difficult. And then all these guys look at their bank accounts and look at their fingers, and there's rings and there's zeros, and they realize that they all were tied to number 23, and they go, oh man, and it's worth it, and it's not worth it, and it's amazing.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
it's a very important question. So JR hit a 70-footer last night, or whatever it was listed as officially. Has anyone made a clip, a meme of the ball, but it's a bowl of soup instead of a ball?
I haven't seen it.
Someone needs to do that.
Yeah,
that's
not even in the top 10 of things that happened to the Cavs this year.
Oh no, yes it is. I don't care whatever else. It's in the top 10. A dude threw a bowl of soup at a man's face. Did he hit him in the face? Was it reported where he hit him? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I do know this.
I mean, you got to aim for the face.
I have never had as much activity. When I reported that Kyrie Irving demanded a trade, I got less emails from people in Bristol than I did after I reported that Dave and I reported that JR threw the soup. The demand for follow-ups on what type of soup it was and I knew what type of soup it was, and I just didn't feel like following up.
They were, as you know, I found out after you what type of soup it was, but they were very hesitant to let it get out. Like they were legit embarrassed by that, and Gilbert was apparently on a rampage about it, and everyone was pretty the type of soup was treated for about 12 hours as if it were a state secret of some kind.
Well, I knew what type of soup it was that moment, but I didn't want to make it a circus, which it was turning into. But you
didn't want to make the player throwing a bowl of soup at a coach a circus. Well, you wanted to let it have some. You just wanted to let it be a regular story.
I know. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying I'm agreeing with you that it's probably up there, and just because it was JR as a, but yeah.
I'm going to make one more point, and then we'll stop. But part of the reason that one of the consequences of them playing so slowly and so lethargically, well, part of the reason for that is the Pacers are really wearing on them. That's one. But they also become very predictable, right? So Indiana is hiding a big guy on J.R. Smith, and a gunner. You should be able to exploit that in so many different ways. And to their credit, they're trying. They used him as a pick and roll ball handler a couple times. That's smart. They ran him through some screen action. They like that little monster double screen they set for him while LeBron has the ball on the other side. That fooled them. But you do that once, and you can't do it again because you're playing so slowly that everyone is sitting there ready for it, and they can see it coming, and it's so predictable. Anyway, I'm very.
But do you know what the root of that is? The root of it is that the team has been assembled for players who complement LeBron.
Yeah, shooters and old guys.
And so, yeah, somehow they're the oldest team in the playoffs, but they had 3 guys in their rotation who'd never played in a playoff game before. That. Just think about how strange that is. But because they're surrounded by specialists, you need individual talent so much more, and that's why losing Kyrie, who was this, white hot ball of ability.
And by the way,
to be next to him.
How much of a genius does Kyrie look like? Now he's injured, and I think everyone had a sense at the time that he was injured or could potentially need some.
Yeah, but this was a weird turn of events. Nobody could have predicted he would get a bacteria infection.
No, that's true. He looks like a genius. He's the one that comes out of this looking smart because Boston's good, and the way Brown and Tatum are really good right now already. When they get Hayward back next year and Kyrie, they are going to be a great team. Not a good team, a great team.
Oh, the bonus, I know the Celtics fans are living and dying every game. The Jaylen Brown game.
This is gravy. Who cares? You lose this series, who cares? It's all gravy.
And the development of Terry Rozier. I mean, you may be able to trade Terry Rozier this summer for like a major piece because somebody's going to want that guy. This has been great for Boston. But I'll say this about Kyrie. He was fortunate that the Celtics ended up with him because he could have demanded a trade and ended up, I won't say where else because I don't want to insult anybody. He could have ended up somewhere else and it not been a good situation. He ended up in a wonderful place, which is why when the trade almost fell apart, he pulled out every stop he could to keep it together because he realized he'd hit the jackpot going to a team that was not only primed to be good, but a place he could flourish. But he gambled. I would have, trust me, Kyrie does not give a flip what I say. But if I had counseled him, I'd have said, Kyrie, play it out one more year because then either LeBron will walk or you'll have 1 year left on your contract and you'll be able to direct where you could go. But they ended up being moot because the Cavs ended up making a deal with a team that was primed to be perfect for him. And after all those, and I also think it just shows all those different trades that the Celtics let go by. Like waiting, like at one of those Japanese restaurants where the sushi plates come by, they're just waiting. Jimmy Butler, pass. Kyrie, they leapt on it, and because they knew what kind of opportunity it was. So Kyrie ended up. Not only did it work out that he got off of this team where they were hitting the wall, but where he landed was just, I can't think of a more ideal place the way it went for him. I mean, he absolutely hit the jackpot. And so it's really unfortunate. And that's the other thing. Like, I think I've heard people say it. Well, had the Cavs kept Kyrie, he'd have had to have knee surgery. No, that's not the way it would have gone. You have no idea. This was a freak situation where his knee got infected. That may not have happened anywhere else. It was just Kyrie very well would be limited maybe because of a sore knee, but he very well could be scoring 35 points, and this series would have been over already, and the Cavs would have been waiting for their next opponent as the 1 or 2 seed.
But it's not over, and the Indiana Pacers just will not stop coming at you. They are just not going to stop coming at you.
Their effort is very impressive.
Their talent is impressive. They don't have great shooting. They don't have great playmaking. They don't have great defenders other than Oladipo, but they're good at lots of stuff. They made an effort to get Collison and Turner going in the pick and roll last night, which I think was smart, diversify their offense a little bit. And they're just not going to stop coming. Like, if Cleveland thinks it's going to just go home and they're up by 10 at halftime, they should know better by now that it's not. This is the most fascinating first-round series. Wendy, always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
Before I go...
Oh, okay, all right.
A comment to the aggregators.
Oh, I love when you... I'm picturing you wagging your finger like you do on television.
This is like, I get in trouble. Like, I love doing your podcast, but like within 2 hours after it posts, I start getting angry calls and texts from people, and I have to apologize for stuff. So
you're making me feel bad.
Please help me out. When I made the Draymond Green thing, I was purely speculating. I was just guessing at things that could happen. Same thing with the Wizards, okay? I was purely speculating. I have no reporting on that. So don't attach report : to anything that I said on that. Is there anything else I need to clarify, you think?
No, that was pretty good. That was pretty clear.
Okay.
All right. Enjoy Game 5. You excited? It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm flying to Cleveland tomorrow, and it's one of these things where, like, this could be 3 games or it could be 2, and there's a massive firefighter. I really hope the nation has no fires this week because there's a humongous firefighter convention that's bigger than the Super Bowl, and you can't get a hotel room in Indianapolis.
Yes, I remember hearing about that.
So, I'll be staying in Richmond, Indiana, and driving in. I'm kidding, but still.
Wendy, always great. You had a
Thanks
piece
for having
last
me,
week
Zach.
about the Cleveland supporting cast. Everybody should read that, and we'll be looking for your stuff going forward. Brian Windhorst, everybody.
Take care.